There are guns you buy because you love them, and there are guns you buy because they work. But then there's a third category, guns that look fine from a distance, guns that seem like a great deal, guns that even have loyal fans, until you look a little closer. Until you discover the recalls, the design flaws, the feeding issues, the broken trust, and the resale value that drops faster than a lead balloon. And today we're talking about those guns. The ones that can quietly drain your wallet and sink your confidence without you even realizing it. Because right now, there are 7 specific firearms on the U.S. market that have become so problematic, so stigmatized, or so unreliable that many gun owners consider them practically worthless. Guns that used to be respected, or at least tolerated, but now sit on gun store shelves collecting dust. Guns that tank in value the moment you touch them, and guns you should avoid unless you're knowingly buying a project, a headache, or a future regret. In this video, we're going deeper than surface-level opinions. I'm talking verified recalls, QC failures, owner reports, mechanical shortcomings, and real-world handling checks. My goal isn't to trash manufacturers, it's to save you from spending good money on what may become a paperweight. So buckle up, because the list you're about to hear might surprise you. And if you already own one of these firearms, don't panic. There are ways to check, verify, and protect yourself, but you need to know the truth before you hit the buy button. Let's begin with a bang. The first gun on our list is the Ruger SR9, specifically the early production models. These pistols were once hyped as Ruger's answer to the modern striker-fired market. They were slim, ergonomic, and affordable. But the honeymoon ended early when the launch guns were hit with a major safety recall. Ruger discovered that, under certain impact conditions, the trigger system could allow the gun to fire unintentionally. That alone destroyed confidence. But the aftermath is what keeps the SR9 stuck in the bargain bin today. Ruger did roll out a factory upgrade, a pivoting trigger, enhanced internal safeties, and a complete retrofit program. But here's the problem. If the gun wasn't upgraded and you can't prove it with paperwork or visible parts, you're holding a liability. Buyers know this. Dealers know this. And anywhere a used SR9 pops up, it sits. It sits because no one wants an early model without a clean bill of health. Even upgraded guns carry stigma, and that follows them forever in the resale market. The second gun on our list is another example of how a clever idea can get buried under a cloud of uncertainty, the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. On paper, it's fantastic. A folding pistol caliber carbine that fits into a backpack. But certain production runs were tied to a serious barrel recall, and that recall continues to haunt the Sub 2000 market. Kel-Tec offered free barrel replacements and a serial number lookup tool. But the reality is that many guns out there were never checked, never returned, and never updated. A Sub 2000 without verified recall paperwork is like a used car with no history report. You might be fine, or you might be buying a problem. And because the burden falls on the buyer, most simply walk away. Even well-maintained examples struggle to hold value because the stigma is entrenched. In the firearms world, uncertainty kills resale value, and the Sub 2000 is a textbook example. Now we move to a firearm that almost feels like a trick. A pistol that promises something unbelievable. The Kel-Tec PMR-30. 30 rounds of .22 Magnum in an ultra-lightweight, futuristic-looking platform. It sounds like a dream. But the moment you start running ammo through it, reality hits hard. The PMR-30 is notoriously picky, extremely dependent on ammunition type, spring tension, and magazine condition. Even Kel-Tec warns owners to use only full-power 40-grain .22 WMR loads like CCI Maxi-Mag and to avoid lightweight or inconsistent ammo. Why? Because this gun magnifies every classic rimfire weakness: feed failures, extraction problems, ignition issues, nosedives, misfires when the magazine is loaded to capacity. In the best cases, the PMR-30 is fun, flashy, and works well with premium ammo if kept very clean. But in the worst cases, it's a temperamental toy that refuses to run reliably. Buyers want guns that just work, not guns that require scientific tuning and curated ammo diets. And when a firearm becomes known as fun but finicky, resale value collapses. That is the PMR-30's entire story. Fourth on the list is the Taurus PT series. These pistols suffered a massive blow when Taurus got hit with a high-profile class action lawsuit over allegations that certain models could fire if dropped. Taurus entered a settlement, created a voluntary repair and replacement program, and encouraged owners to send in affected models. But the damage was done. Even when these guns are repaired and safe, they still carry the stain of that lawsuit. Buyers hesitate, sellers lose money, and the result is an entire series of firearms that rarely command strong prices on the used market. It's not that Taurus can't make good guns, they absolutely can, but the PT series will forever live under a shadow that the market never forgets. Fifth is a gun that shocked the industry when its problem became public: the Sig Sauer P320, specifically the pre-upgrade units. Early versions of the P320 could discharge when dropped at a specific angle due to trigger mass and sear geometry. When the story broke, it spread like wildfire. Sig reacted by launching a voluntary upgrade program, redesigning the trigger, striker, and internal components to eliminate the issue. The upgraded guns? Excellent. In fact, the P320 remains one of the most popular striker-fired pistols in America, but the non-upgraded ones, a serious liability. And unless you have paperwork, or can visually confirm the skeletonized trigger, revised striker foot, and added disconnector, you will struggle to sell it. No one is buying a P320 with mystery internals, and that's why pre-upgrade pistols have sunk deep into the undervalued zone. Now let's talk about the Hi-Point C9 and 995 carbine. These guns always spark debate. They're cheap, they work, they come with a lifetime warranty, and they absolutely have their place. But they fall apart in one key area: long-term value. When you buy a Hi-Point, you're not investing, you're making a temporary purchase. Heavy slides, crude ergonomics, stiff triggers, low capacity, and a limited aftermarket all contribute to a pistol and carbine that function, but don't scale with user skill or expectations. The market is absolutely flooded with them, and buyers know what they are. You can maintain them perfectly, keep them spotless, and shoot them well, but in the end, the resale value remains almost zero. A Hi-Point is a gun you use until it dies, not a gun you sell. And finally, the seventh gun on our list, the SCCY CPX series. These pistols once looked like unbeatable budget options: affordable, available, and lightweight. But reports began to stack up. Feeding issues, magazine problems, inconsistent followers, weak springs, stovepipes, failures to feed that showed up randomly and repeatedly across long-term tests. Then came the final blow: the company itself shut its doors. That means no parts, no support, no warranty, no future fixes. Even if your CPX works right now, you're essentially holding an orphaned firearm with no manufacturer behind it. That alone destroys resale value. Nobody wants a gun they can't repair. Now, here's the bigger picture behind all 7 firearms. In the gun world, 3 pillars determine long-term value: reliability, reputation, and support. A gun doesn't need to be fancy, it doesn't need to be expensive, but it must be consistent, trusted, and backed by a company that stands behind it. The firearms on this list lost ground because they broke one or all of those pillars. Some had mechanical flaws, some had recalls, some had feeding issues, some were tied to lawsuits, and some were abandoned by their manufacturers entirely. If you already own one of these guns, don't panic. Some can be upgraded, some can be verified, some can be redeemed if you have the right paperwork, but understand that the market remembers everything. And when you go to resell a firearm with a questionable history, buyers will notice, they will hesitate, and you will feel it in the price. The good news is that you can protect yourself. Always check for recalls, always verify serial numbers, always get documentation for upgrades, and always research a gun's real-world performance, not just its marketing claims. The difference between a firearm you trust and a firearm you regret often comes down to 5 minutes of research. So let me leave you with this. Firearms are more than tools. They are investments. Investments in safety, skill, and personal protection. And nothing hurts more than discovering that the gun you bought with confidence is now a liability gathering dust in the back of your safe. If this video helped you, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share your experience in the comments. Have you owned one of these firearms? Did it treat you well, or was it a headache? Your story might help someone avoid making a very expensive mistake. Until next time, stay smart, stay safe, and stay sharp.